Brett, what are you doing? We're live.
Oh, crap. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Fantasy Gods. I'm Brett Chaves.
And I'm Toby White.
So, Toby, baseball's back. And with the 2021 season underway, what are you most excited for?
Well, I'm excited because baseball is like basically the start of spring. You get to smell everything, and you get to go to Fenway now, and especially this year, 162 games. So, know what that means. A lot of late nights watching baseball for now.
Yeah, exactly. Personally, I'm excited to just go to games again. The Red Sox are having fans back in the stands at Fenway. It's going to be awesome. You can catch a hot dog, maybe even catch a ball in the bleachers. You never know, but fans are back, and that's probably the thing that I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, definitely. And let's not forget, it's also fantasy baseball season here too.
Right on, Toby. So, seeing that baseball's back, let's talk about some of the best players to pick up this season for fantasy baseball. After all, there is still time to draft a fantasy baseball squad.
Yeah, and we're going to be focusing on some of the core positions in fantasy baseball, including infielders, meaning catchers too, outfielders, and starting and closing pitchers.
We're also going to focus on players that are great for certain categories, especially in rotary leagues. And these include categories like ERA, home runs, stolen bases. So without further ado, let's get right into it. We're going to start with infielders here. So I'll go first with my infielders. First up for me is Francisco Lindor from the New York Mets. You can't go wrong with this pick at all. Lindor has been tearing it up in spring training for the Mets. Pete Alonso came on at a press conference the other day saying that the Mets need to pay him $400 million. I agree every bit of that statement. Francisco Lindor is a valuable piece of this franchise. He's going to be a great help in fantasy baseball, most likely putting up an average between 280 and 300. And if you're looking for a core piece in your infield, it's a great way to start with Francisco Lindor.
Yeah, and for my end, I have Fernando Tatis Jr., the cover boy of MLB The Show, and also he just signed a mega deal, 14-year deal, and he and the Padres have high expectations this year.
Exactly.
So especially their team on defense is star-studded.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, you look at Fernando Tatis, you also have Eric Hosmer, Jake Cronenworth, even Manny Machado at third. They're loaded for as far as the San Diego Padres go, and I would not be surprised if they come out first place in their division and favorites for the World Series this year. Let's move into the next guy, and that's Trey Turner from the Washington Nationals. This guy, a little bit under the radar sometimes, but he's great for average, and he's great for stolen bases. He's quicker on the bags, and he can probably rack you up around 30 to 40 stolen bases in fantasy. So it's an interesting pick that we have here, but Trey Turner could be a good option if you're looking for a decent shortstop.
And also a underrated guy would be Xander Bogarts too. And he has more potential this year because I feel like he is going to run the bases more than average.
Exactly. I mean, you look at his power too. He's one of the best, if not the best, power hitting shortstop in baseball. He'll probably be able to rack you up maybe close to 30 home runs as a shortstop. So I would not be surprised if Xander Bogarts also runs the bases like you mentioned pretty quickly, but definitely look out for him as far as power in a shortstop. And the big catcher that we picked is Salvador Perez from the Kansas City Royals. The best catcher, in my opinion, the best catcher in baseball. He's coming back from Tommy John surgery. Definitely look for him as far as filling a void in your catcher slot. He'll be good as far as defense and potentially for RBIs as well in Salvador Perez. You're looking at catchers here, so it's a little bit different as far as statistics-wise, but Salvador is definitely a great option and definitely a worthy pickup.
Yeah, then on my side, I would say Freddie Freeman. Like, he does not run that well, but he can hit the ball right out of the park. getting single doubles or triples. So he's more of an offensive guy, but he is a good defender on the main side.
Exactly. I think that's the most important thing too is offense. Freddie Freeman can crush the ball, moonshots. So you'll definitely get a good use out of him as far as average and RBIs and even home runs at some points, hits. Whatever you need, he's the number one first baseman out there in most fantasy baseball leagues. If you have the chance to pick him up in the first or second round, do it. No regrets here. Nothing. So let's move into outfielders here. We'll start with the first guy, the elephant in the room. Almost everyone has him on their radar, and that's Mike Trout from the LA Angels. Mike Trout has been the best player in baseball for the past 6 or 7 years consecutively. Posts averages up from 280 to 300. He says a disappointing season is around 280. I think that's absurd. 280 is a fantastic season for a Major League Baseball player. But nonetheless, if you're looking for consistency, you're looking for RBIs, solid average, he'll stay consistent for you as far as that category. Mike Trout is the man.
But the real question about the Angels, can they make it to the playoffs? But on the other side, they have the world champions next door with Mookie Betts, their new addition this past year. And he just signed a 10-year deal, and he is a all-around player, ex-Red Sox, which makes us all sad. But Mookie Betts is one of the top fantasy baseball players.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you there. Mookie Betts is by far one of the best players as far as average goes, and he'll rack you up a lot of RBIs. And like with Mike Trout, he's very consistent. He won't move a lot as far as his statistics go throughout the season, but definitely look for Mookie Betts if you're looking, like Mike Trout, to get a core piece in your outfield and for someone to really anchor down your team throughout the season.
And I would say that, so a younger guy would be Ronald Acuna Jr. too, is also a major part too. Then also George Springer, the new addition on Blue Jays, he's gonna hit bombs for the Blue Jays this year, and also a underrated team this year is the Blue Jays.
I agree with all those statements there. Ronald Acuna is a young gunslinger. He can shoot balls to the moon and back. Same thing with George Springer. I think he's going to succeed in this younger Blue Jays system. They have the potential to make the playoffs again this year. We'll see what that happens. And our last guy here is Alex Verdugo from the Boston Red Sox. Kind of under the radar, Alex Verdugo was last year. Batted around 320, I believe. It was last year. Should have been an all-star. Wasn't there. If he produces the same numbers like he did last season, he's going to be without a doubt an all-star this year. He'll get you good average. He'll get you good hits, especially where he's batting in the lineup. And definitely look for Alex Verdugo in the later rounds of your fantasy baseball drafts as a steal and potential long-term player in your outfield.
Yeah, especially for a everyday player, so he will be there for every game too. So absolutely. Because he's now one of the core Red Sox players now for the Red Sox this year and going forward.
Exactly. You bring a great point there. So let's move into starting pitching now. There are some pretty guaranteed ones here. We'll start with the first one, and that's the best pitcher in baseball, Jacob deGrom. Holds down all categories for baseball. A top 3 pick in most fantasy baseball drafts. If you want your pitching staff to be anchored down for the whole season, a healthy Jacob deGrom is the guy. A low whip, a low ERA, and he'll rack you up strikeouts. This guy is the man. Do not miss a chance to draft him if you have the opportunity.
And also, Garrett Cole is kind of flying under the radar too, because despite the Yankees having so many weapons in their core pitching, Garrett Cole might have a breakout year.
Absolutely. I mean, looking at the Yankees situation right now, it's almost set up for Garrett Cole to have success. I mean, you look at him, he's been consistent the past few seasons with the Astros and the Yankees. He's set up again to be another big piece of this Yankees pitching rotation. So, like you said, I would not be surprised at all if Garrett Cole has a monster year, and he could seriously be a top 3 pitcher in fantasy baseball, guaranteed. Another big guy that we have as well on our lists right here, that is Tyler Glasnow from the Tampa Bay Rays. Glasnow is now left all alone at Tampa Bay with Chris Archer and company in the bullpen with Diego Castillo as well. But Tyler Glasnow by far has some of the filthiest off-speed I've ever seen in baseball. His breaking ball is absurd. He'll rack you up a absurd amount of strikeouts in your leagues this year. If Tyler Glasnow's there in the 2nd or 3rd round, maybe even 4th or 5th, if he's still there, take him. He's a guaranteed success right here. Tyler Glasnow is a great pick.
Yeah, like especially he's now the successor because Blake Snell and also Morton also left too. Mm-hmm. So he's now the ace of that bullpen.
Exactly. And the last guy we have here is Shane Bieber from the Cleveland Indians. This Indians pitching staff is on the rise again. I mean, after losing Corey Kluber, Mike Clevenger, all those big-name guys, they're back up on the come-up again, and Terry Francona is doing a good job. You got Shane Bieber, who's going to record most likely over 200 strikeouts this year. He'll help you out with that. He's by far one of probably the 2nd-best pitcher in baseball right behind Jacob deGrom. And then you have a guy like Zach Plesac, who could be there in the later rounds. He'll rack you up around 140 strikeouts this season. These guys in Cleveland are reliable in fantasy baseball. Don't be surprised if they come up within the top 50, top 30 pitchers in this league for fantasy baseball. Watch out for not only Shane Bieber, like I mentioned, but Zach Plesac as well.
Yeah. Like it really depends because that Cleveland team has shifted their team to pitching now instead of their offense because they don't have many like offensive weapons now because Lindor and many other players left. So it should be interesting for them this year.
Exactly. So let's move on to our final big category here, and that's closers and relievers. And I think we both have this pick unanimously here, and that's the Milwaukee Brewers closer Josh Hader. Hader. Try saying that 5 times fast. Josh Hader is probably the best closer in baseball right now. Great fastball, good off speed, and he will rack you up so many saves. I picked him in my fantasy baseball league this year. You can't go wrong with picking him in the later rounds. Josh Hader is the man, and he will be the best closer in baseball.
Yeah, like especially being on the Brewers, they might be in some close games in like the late 9th or 10th inning, and they need him to be the top guy to close them out, and he is gonna do it in 1 to 3 outs, like without a doubt.
Oh, without a doubt. So that's gonna wrap it up for this episode of Fantasy Gods. As always, my name is Brett Chaves.
And I'm Toby White.
Keep calm, play fantasy.